you've been pre-qualified, found a house you loved, and now you're under contract. What's the next steps? I'm Kristen Best with Premier Properties of Dublin.
And I'm Sarah Colby with Capital City Home Loans.
So as soon as you are under contract on a house, that's when what's called the due diligence period starts. Typically there's a 14-day due diligence period that is negotiable. If you feel that you need longer, you can ask for longer. If it's a cash sale, then you might not have a due diligence period. But during this period, the buyers have a little bit of freedom. They can back out of the contract for any or no reason at all. But typically this period of due diligence is for you to explore the house and make sure that you really want to buy it. So you will typically order reports like an inspection report and an appraisal. If you are financing the home, the appraisal is going to be required by your mortgage lender, but the inspection is optional, but we always recommend that people get homes inspected before they buy them, just so they can know what's going on, if there's any underlying issues. The inspector is going to go in and just go through every crevice of the house. They're going to check the AC systems, they're going to check the plumbing, any cracks in the wall, any wobbly flooring. They're going to investigate it, and if they don't have an answer for why it looks that way or sounds that way, they're going to tell you to contact someone specialized in that field to find out a little bit more about the house. And then with the appraisal, a licensed appraiser is going to come in and tell you how much the house is actually worth in today's market, and that is going to affect largely how much money the bank is going to loan you to buy this house. So this due diligence period is very important. There's a lot going on, and during this time your loan is going through underwriting. So Sarah's going to tell us a little bit about the underwriting process.
So once you're pre-qualified, we've gathered up most of your major documentation. We've gathered up tax returns and bank statements, your driver's license, your photo ID. We have the things that we need in place to qualify you for the loan. However, once the loan actually moves into processing, once you've chosen that home, you're under contract, we now upload the documents specific to that home. That would be your homeowner's quote. That would be specific documents like property taxes that relate to that specific home. Any amendments to your contract. And we stay in constant communication with the selling agent, the listing agent, the buyer of the home through the loan process. So that process starts with loan processing, and loan processing is just verifying that we have all the documents in place for your specific loan program. We've gathered up those general documents at the beginning for pre-qualification. Now the loan processor is actually going to be looking through the details of those documents to make sure they match up with what we've inputted into your application. And once it's moved through processing, it goes into what is called underwriting. Underwriting is when we have the investors for the loan who have specific requirements for investing in your specific home. So they might come back and say, hey, we need additional employment verification on you because you live out of town or too far away from this home to justify the 50-minute drive between your workplace and your home. They might ask for additional bank statements. They might ask for other documentation like child support documentation or proof that a parent is paying your student loans. So through that process, it's really important that you stay in constant communication with the underwriters and your loan originator so that you can get all the documentation in place, because that documentation is actually required for the funding of your loan. So we don't want to do anything that would mess up your chances of closing on the loan that you've chosen, the loan that you're under contract for.
So as you can see, what my husband George always says, the real work begins once the house is under contract.
That's right.
So that's why it is so important to have a good team behind you to get you from getting a contract to the closing table. So we've kind of discussed today a little bit of the ins and outs of the under contract period. So
Right.
Tune in for our next video to find out a little bit more about the closing process.
Thanks.